Sparky Coach Pod. Crowy here with Cam. New
Welcome.
financial year,
It's
new year, new you.
timestamp, 1st of July. What's that mean, Crowy?
It means time to raise your rates. That's obviously new financial year. We did a really good pod on this maybe 6 to 10 pods back. So jump back in. Why to raise your rates on July 1? To me, there's 3 times to raise your rates. July 1, which is fantastic. Pretty easy, pretty organic. January 1, new year and new calendar year, or just right where you're at. So there's your 3 options. The third one is not saying much harder, but there's no rhyme or reason to it. It's a bit sporadic, a bit aggressive, you might say. But yeah, new financial year, Sparky Coach, turning 2.
Yeah,
wow.
Happy birthday. That was sort of my main drop, but anyway, we got there. Happy birthday to us.
Yeah, happy birthday. It's so good. I feel like it's been such a cool 2 years. To think, I was doing some one-on-one coaching before that, and I think we've nailed the platform, and I think anyone on the platform would agree with that. The workbook, we got 40s boardroom. You got Tommy from Rylec doing automation. We got help every day. Even to think of the help desk, someone came in yesterday for $1 million job, which sounds a bit bigger than it is. I know it sounds big, but it's actually quite a simple job. And that was when they first told me they were quoting $1 million job or something close. My first fear is always do you know how to handle it? And this one was actually just a whole bunch of jobs they've done before compiled up into a 3-week period. So in that case, 100% done. Helping people someone through a child called Charlie's quote, shout out to you-know-who on that one. Helping someone else through renovation quote. So it's the help every single day for me. I wish I had that coming through the ranks. Quoting for me was just a bit of a lonely pursuit. And to think we're providing something of value that's getting better is psycho. I'm so stoked. And just I don't know, maybe I get, because we close a month with our members, I get super inspired by the results. When you see people closing the week and logging on their stuff religiously, you get to see some pretty amazing results, which is so good. But yeah, I don't know, I love it. I'm pretty stoked. I think it's getting better. Is inspiring stuff. How are you feeling?
Yeah, feel really good, I think, in a sense that it feels like it's really making and having an impact and helping people. And I think that's the key for me, is helping a lot of knowledge in the room as such, so to speak. So when I say room, I mean collectively across the board.
Us. Yeah.
Across the board collectively with all the members, the whole community as such of Sparky Coach that is there to lean into. And what I've encouraged a lot of people is lean in, so making sure that if you're not sure on how to do something, don't try to navigate that yourself. Lean in, ask the question. There's no silly questions, you may never have had to do a granny flat before, and that's okay. Because you may be an absolute gun at, steel white armor installations and things like that. So just because you're not good at something doesn't mean that you are not good in other areas. So I really just encouraged, and I have been encouraging everyone to lean in. Don't do it alone as such. So
yeah. I love that. And I was just speaking to someone this morning actually, and they were like, "Oh, can I ask a question about how to do deck work? I've never done deck work." And I was like, "Oh man, I wish I could have asked this back in the day, because I would have done a lot of things the really difficult way, or you're doing something that someone's always got a better idea than you." But I'm hyper capable on a deck, and I was like, "Oh, there's no stupid questions, just stupid people." No, there's no stupid questions. That's the help desk question. Come to the help desk and ask that. And I was like, you know what I've never done? I've never changed a hot water element.
Sweet.
Wouldn't know how to do it without getting, my company did a lot of it. I never did it. So everything's easy when you know how, and everything's simple when you've done it before, really, or getting simpler. So I love that we're providing that space in a full-on no dickhead policy, which is part of the mantra. But yeah, pumped. Happy birthday to Sparky Coach. And we'd love you to get in touch if it have helped you via the podcast or platform in any way. Sometimes it's just nice to hear thanks. I actually sent someone asked me for like the Finding Work book the other day, and I sent it to them, and they didn't say thanks, and it really rattled me. I was like, I think I told you,
text messages and phone calls from Crowe, I can confirm.
I was pretty upset by it because I'm like, it doesn't take much. Admittedly, I think the coaching industry cooked this guy because I was like, give us your email address and I'll send it over to you. And I think traditionally the old email address to a coaching company is like, we're going to spam you daily with stuff to get you to buy. But we don't do that for a reason. We don't want to be the same as anyone else. And I just don't think I want to. I feel like if I can talk someone into a sale, someone else can talk them out of it. So our sales process is pretty simple. Like, do you want it or not? And the people that want to buy it are the people that get the results. That's for me like the biggest thing on sales, like in the coaching world. If you want it, you'll get after it. If you don't want it, you're not going to get after it, and then no one wins at that point. I don't win, you don't win, they don't win. So yeah, but it's interesting. And then and I was pretty cut about it. But then someone else asked for the same document, and they said, "Man, thanks so much. Does this help?" And I was like, "This is someone I would like to work with."
Crowe is back on cloud 9.
Back on cloud 9. And I've also got Power Play merch on. Again, send us some merch or die trying. But talking today about financial year, and I think it's a new financial year, and there is that element of new year, new you, and there is the element of you can't change what happened yesterday, but you can change what happens in the future. And if you're looking at a numbers sense, your numbers might take 3 months to sort out. They might take 2 years to sort out. And I think you've got to know it's what style of work you do. If I quoted a large commercial job 18 months ago and I won it 12 months ago and I'm still doing it and my numbers were cooked 18 months ago and my quoting was cooked 18 months ago, I might be still in the fruit of a decision that I made 18 months ago when I was quoting at 3 p.m. in the afternoon. The quote was late. I didn't quite get the pricing on that. Or now the cable price has changed. Now the labor price has changed. Now my operating cost, which I thought was $30, now 45. There's lots of these like micro details that go in to make a big result, like a macro result. So it's like in that person's case, they're not going to really find out that the apple cart is empty. I want an apple. I'm talking about money. I want some money. I'm at the cart. I've emptied the cart. I've claimed all my claims. My progress claims are up to date. My variations are up to date. The cart is emptied. I'm still throwing labor. Anyone that's done that before is probably like going, "Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about." It's the worst. Isn't it the worst feeling when you've exhausted the money and you've still got to throw labor at it? Not only that, I know for me, sometimes you got to go back after 6 months and 12 months, or like that whole sort of rectification window, and it's an absolute nightmare. So, but the goal is for me, looking at everyone's numbers and stuff like that pretty religiously. The goal is that just try to make sure that doesn't happen again. That's the goal, right? The goal will be get better. The goal is not perfection because no one's ever going to be perfect. And you can price a job correctly, but handle it incorrectly. But the goal is progression, and the goal is to get better. And the goal is that, yes, we would start to price every job properly, and we would start to handle every single job properly. And when you mix those two together and do it consistently for a long period of time with the right clients, that's when you're going to get an amazing result. So I sort of get excited at lines in the sand going, okay, yesterday was June 30, today's July 1. Man, we're on new financial year. We've got a new workbook. It's sort of starting again in a way, but I get super inspired. Where does your head go to on that?
I think it's an opportunity to reset is the way I look at it. So yes, you may have landed where you wanted to. You may not have landed where you wanted to. You may have landed somewhere in the middle. I would be extremely surprised if there's anyone out there who is like, I am a rock star and I don't need to improve anything. I'd be extremely surprised because the biggest companies in the world don't look at it like that. So I think you need to have a look back and see just how you feel about it. Like what happened? What did you learn? What do you need to understand more? Where you need to dive into, and have a look at an opportunity to reset. And I want to encourage. I think it falls into probably a couple of categories for me. Is that I think it wasn't what I expected it to be. So the result. So it wasn't what I expected. Okay, cool. What can we do to make a change, right? And I'll dive into that. The other area that I feel like it falls into is like, hey, I was happy with the result, as in I was happy with the outcome financially, but, and then insert here of, hey, didn't handle this job well, or I had an issue with this, or I'm working too much, things like that. And then the other category is, I'm going to say it's like, it's just ho hum. It's like I actually don't really know how it was. Like I'm not aware. I'm sort of, I don't know where my numbers are, and I wouldn't know where to begin. So it's sort of like a bit of, it's like a Bermuda Triangle sort of thing of somewhere in the middle around. And what I would do is like I encourage everyone to, it's an opportunity to reset and simplify. And I think that's really, really important in the world of, I guess, social media, instant gratification, Uber Eats to your door in 15 minutes. That instant sort of world that we live in now is that there's a lot of bright, shiny ideas that get thrown at us, and a lot of new thoughts, new ideas, new ways. And look, there's lots and lots of them are very good, but do does everything actually that you're doing really actually apply to your business? I think is the key to it, and have a look and go, how can I simplify? And what I want to encourage is everyone to go down to and having a look at it and simplifying is, the way we look at it within Sparky Coaching, simplifying it is just starts with the week. So how am I performing for this particular week? So closing out the particular week and building out from there, and not having a list of 2,000 things to do. It's like, hey, I just got to do my non-negotiable items, which, non-negotiable. It's like, I've got to get my invoices done, got to get my quotes out, I've got to communicate, I've got to schedule, I've got to get the staffing under control, I've got to communicate with my clients. And then it could be, hey, I'm just working on one item this week to improve on. It could be, hey, I just need to get my new build checklist in order. Rather than having, I've got 25 things to do, because I can tell you right now, unless you have nothing else to do in your week, you're not going to get through those 25 things. And I would argue that even if you worked on those 25 items, that most of them on average are probably going to take somewhere between 2 to 4 hours to do, if not longer, if it's quite considerable to do. That's more than a week that you can get it done in. So really want to encourage everyone just to go back to the simplicity of probably where you once were within the business. Like, hey, I used to take the phone calls. I used to take the information down from the client. I'd send them an invoice, or I'd book the job. I'd get them scheduled and I'd let them know. Now there's probably a high chance that when the phone rings, you actually have a bit of a, I guess, I'm not going to say heart attack as such, but you're probably like, oh no, not again. Sort of like looking at the phone, ringing, 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 ringing. It's like, oh, I've just missed 20 calls. And I don't think that's a good place to be in. Like, it should be like, I want the phone to ring. I'm excited when it rings. So that, taking it back to where you once were. So just really want to encourage the simplicity of doing the non-negotiables and the basic principles that, I guess apply to your business really, really well, and just put that on repeat.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think we're looking even to set our goals for our members for 12 months. Obviously, we've got market wage with a net profit 20%, which should be some of our members doing amazing, and maybe they're making, it's not a dollar amount, but the guys that are making between $500 and $1 million a year, 500,000 $1 million a year net profit, that for me, like reflecting with some of them over the past week or two, and they're like, oh yeah, what do you want to achieve? And maybe the goal is, hey, I want to achieve a similar result money-wise, but I want to do less. I'm doing a lot. So or maybe some of the guys are superseding the net profit 20%. Maybe they're at 23, but they're looking at it going, oh my gosh, I can tighten so many screws. I don't know anyone in a trade sense, especially when there's an exchange of labor materials, especially when the labor is relatively subjective to who's doing it, to what mood they're in, to what team they're in, to do you have a different team sizing you did yesterday, all this kind of stuff that's incredibly subjective. But like kind of considering that, well, if I tighten that screw and that screw and that screw, that 23 can go to 27. 1% at a 3 million turnover is 30 grand. So I can tighten this 100 grand, in the next 12 months. That's my goal, to tighten. And I keep coming back to, like I think our whole structure instead of grow, 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 it's not that we're not growing. It's always refining. You got to refine what you're doing. If you're just growing for the sake of growing, you're just growing. And that might not be necessarily the greatest thing or the best thing to do, but where can you sort of refine your process? One of the smartest things we did at Sparky Coach, we started doing on time. Like this is on Sparky Coach, right? Like this is in Sparky Coach. We started doing on time on the business. And I remember for the first time, like getting whiteboards out and what are we doing? And what are we like, and drawing this sort of Pythagoras theorem of death that led to nowhere, that led to the program changing multiple times over the course of X amount and led to this. And I remember the first iteration of the workbook genuinely sucked looking back at it. It was so complicated. I don't reckon Einstein could have transposed this thing, right? So it's like, coming all that on time, sitting on top of the business, like what do people need, like what happens at this point, what about this, all that on time led us to a point of the workbook, which is insane, led us to the point of, I feel like, nailing the platform. But that didn't come out of nowhere. That came out of like days of like every Monday sitting here staring at a whiteboard, gazing at some Bangalore sushi from Mangosteen and eating it, going like, what the hell's going on? Sort of taking progress, taking hits, taking progress, taking hits. And someone's like, oh, that sucks. I'm like, oh, you're right, that does suck. Like that, I didn't think about that concept. And getting to the point where we've simplified the whole mission down to the fact that if we close a week, close a month, set and achieve some goals, we're cooking. And all our platform serves that process. So all our help desks every day, the emergency calls every day, the workbook, the fact you can ask anything, the video vault, like everything serves that. But I want to highlight, it came from a place of sitting on top of the business, which was genuinely uncomfortable. It's a genuine uncomfortable point to be in when you're taking time out of your busy week, because there's plenty of noble tasks to do, but nothing's more non-negotiable than getting some time on the business. So the difference between a non-negotiable and a noble task needs to be identified. A non-negotiable task, let's say, is sending invoices or making sure the quotes are out on time. A noble task is finishing a rough-in checklist. It's not critical to the lifeblood of the business, which invoicing is and quoting is, but it's a great thing to do. So if you just did one noble task a week on top of your non-negotiables, you're cooking in 12 months' time. But it's interesting for me, when we block that time out to put specifically into Sparky Coach, it's like you notice the difference. And I want people to know, block out some time on your business. Like is there 2 hours a week or 1 hour a week where you get that business on time, where you can build that checklist, where like I was sitting with even Tommy from Rylak was sitting, he did a ground plan session the other day, and he runs an automation session for us every week. But he did a ground plan session and he was like, I locked myself in a room for 2 days, the weekend, whatever he did, right? Put some big like lagwagon guy. So put some, I think like NoFX or old school punk rock, right? 90s punk rock. Put some 90s punk rock on probably offensively loud at that point. Put it on loud and just belted 2 days of this sort of back end structure of setting up ground plan with all the symbols and setting up his price book. So now he can quote freely. So that 2 days, that probably saves him 4 to 6 hours every single week. So it's recognizing, okay, if I put that time into the business, can what I build, then affect or increase my ability to perform better, to perform at a higher level, to perform more noble tasks during the week? The answer is probably yes. So I think for me, critically reflecting on this financial year, how it's going to be different. If nothing changes, nothing changes. So if we're still like pissing in the wind and wondering if jobs are making money or not, that's not a great place to be in. So stepping back and being like, setting some standards. It's not okay to not know how the week went. It's not okay to not know how that job went. It's not okay to not reflect and not speak to that staff member who's not performing. It's not okay to keep doing admin at 10 o'clock at night. I want everyone to have boundaries to some extent, but like when you're on and you're working hard, that's cool. Like I don't want to put a time limit or like you can't answer the phone after 6 o'clock. It's not like that. So if you're feeling motivated, do it. If you're not feeling motivated and feeling burnt out, slow down. Go surfing, go to the gym or whatever. So I think getting the on time this year is critical. Thoughts?
Yeah, I guess I couldn't agree more. Echoing a little bit there what I was sort of, I guess, saying from the beginning there. I really, I guess, again, encourage or again emphasize around it is that you're in control. So really are a master of your own destiny. And I think if you were to look and assess critically how you performed or as a business, and then how to look at it and like, well, how did I actually perform as well myself? Is that if you didn't hit the targets that you wanted to, or didn't hit the goals, or sort of didn't land. It might just be like a feel. It was like, yeah, we just didn't land where I thought we would. And that's based off like a number of parameters. It could be that, hey, we had a number of staff leave, or we lost a couple of clients that we didn't really think we would, or we sort of didn't really hit the workload that we sort of would be thinking. I think if you have a look at it and be like, well, how did I perform? Like, what could I have done a little bit better? And it can be a little bit confronting. It can probably be a little bit harsh at times, but it's like, okay, well, you're the master of your own destiny as such. It's like, so how can I perform a little bit better? And what's required to get the best out of you? And I think this is an opportunity to reset as well. So having an understanding. So it could just be that you're muddled in your week. It's like you're trying to do too much. It's that you literally, I'm trying to implement 85 things at once, processes or new tasks. And it's like, well, it's not achievable, right? I'm trying to quote, invoice, quote, follow up, have a staff meeting, and have a client meeting all in the same day. And it's like, well, I'm sort of bouncing around from subject to subject, item to item, and I'm not doing anything really well. And it's not a knock on you for trying. So you've got the work ethic, you've got the hunger, you've got the energy. And maybe it's just a bit of a reset around how you structure your week out. So it's like, okay, cool. Between these hours on this day, I'm doing item A. Invoicing is going to be assigned to this day. Quoting is going to be assigned to these times. Conversations with clients are going to be on these days. And you start to structure it out. And it may even just begin with, hey, I am going to go to the gym on these days, or go for a surf, insert activity in this particular time here. It may even be, I'm going to start at a different time to what I usually do, right? And I know this sounds ridiculous, but I was having a chat with one of the boys recently, one of our members, and he'd been really manic for a long time. And it had a lot to do with not being on top of his admin. So what we did was, when is he best? When is he on? He's like, I'm killer in the morning. It's what I do best. So we allocated time in the morning and pushed back his start time on site by about half an hour to an hour. Not much, right? Not much in the scheme of things. He now still finishes at the same time every day that he was finishing before. And what I can sort of, say for this is that because he's going to be on the tools with a clear mind, he's able to execute and be efficient on site because he's organised. So the materials are there, the plan's organised, the conversation's been had. He knows what's happening in 2 days, 3 days, 4 days time. He's actually been able to insert some time as well in the morning, go to the gym, go for a walk, take the dog out, those sorts of bits and pieces. And you can actually see physically when you have a conversation with him and have a chat to him, he's feeling great. So I probably want to challenge everyone to a point here of like, what can I do to improve, and what can I do to make a change so I get the result that I'm actually after?
Yeah, I love that. I love that something, a little change makes a big difference. And, so many of us are like, we've lost clients we should have kept, we've kept clients we should have lost, we've lost staff we should have kept, we've kept staff we should have lost, or we've done some noble tasks and neglected the non-negotiable. So I think just a big reset and going like, okay, what do I need to accomplish every single week, and what does closing the week actually look like, and then how do I not just do that once, but how do I do that 52 weeks in a row, and what is the core result of closing 52 good weeks in a row? What is going to be the fruit of that? The fruit is going to be hopefully you're in a good headspace. Hopefully you've got time for yourself. Hopefully you've got a good net profit. Hopefully your team's energized because you focus up on them. So there's lots of things to love about, like, imagine just doing something well 50 times in a row. You're going to be cooking at the end of it. So simplify the mission, really, really simply close a week, close a month, set and achieve some targets. Bang. Like that. If you did all that and did it really well, everything else flows down from that. That is top of the pyramid scheme activity. That is top of business. That is business on time activity that's going to have a significant result in your overall results. So a significant impact, I should say, in your overall results. So no matter where you're at, in the nicest way possible, just get better. That's it. Every year getting a bit better. You're cooking in 10 years time, 5 years time, 2 years time. So thanks for hanging out.
Thank
And
you.
then we'll see you guys soon.
You have best year ever.
Peace.